we want to solve compound inequalities, and we want to solve compound inequalities and equations with variables on both sides using addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. And we want to solve inequalities and equations involving more than one step. So here we have a compound inequality, and has to be and as the conjunction. Anytime an inequality is written like that, where there are two compound inequalities written together, that has to be and. So I'm going to write that down just to remind myself when I go to finish that will be the solution. So the conjunction in this case will be and, or intersection, or that's what we'll use at the end when we get all said and done. So there's two ways that we can do it. We can either solve it simultaneously, or we can write it down and solve it twice individually. This one, we will solve it simultaneously. So just like before, if we add it over here, and we have to add over here. If we subtract over here, we have to subtract over here. But in this case, if we subtract from the middle, we have to subtract from both outsides. So if I subtract 10 here, then I need to subtract 10 from both sides. In that case, then we get our 10. The reason we subtracted is because we wanted to get rid of the 10. And then here we have negative 16 is less than or equal to 4n is less than or equal to 36. And now we still have the n here joined by multiplication. So in order to get rid of multiplication, we have to divide. And if we divide in the middle, we have to divide on the right, and we have to divide on the left. So then we're left with negative 4 is less than or equal to n, which is less than or equal to 9. So at this point, when we go to write down our solution, our set builder notation is already written down for us. So we have to go negative 4 is less than or equal to n is less than or equal to 9. So we really have two inequalities to graph here. We have n is less than or equal to negative 4, which this one's kind of hard to graph, so I always write it the other way just to remind myself. So n, we have to point it in the same direction, so n is greater than or equal to negative 4. Okay, so I can plot negative 4, and I'll just pick this spot here, and I'll do a closed dot at negative 4, and we'll shade to the right. And so that will be that one. And then here we have another inequality, which n is less than or equal to 9. And that one is drawn already in the right direction where the variable's on the left. So we'll just start at 9. And then we have a closed dot at 9. And we'll shade to the left. Now, remember, intersection means it has to be in both. So when we go to graph it, it has to be in both sets. It has to be in the red set, and it has to be in the blue set. So the only spot where it overlaps, where both lines exist, is between 9 and negative 4. And both negative 4 and 9 are included in both sets. So we should use a closed dot at 9 and a closed dot at negative 4, and then we'll draw the line in between. So this represents the final answer for this graph. And then in interval notation, we have to start from our low end, which in this case is negative 4, and we have to go to our high end, which is 9. And in this case, we should have a bracket for both, so we should include both numbers.